Hello goblins, it's Chris, Eldritch Pipes, and it's this week's Pipes. Slightly different this week. In the past, I've just been showing my own pipes. I'm going to be showing someone else's pipe today. So we're going to have a look at two of my own. I did say last week that it's half term this week, so a bit of a go slow. I haven't been making as many as I normally would. So just two from me this week. And one from another pipe carver. If you saw my last video, you'll know that we had a pipe makers gathering here at the weekend. Aidan Hesselwood, fabulous fellow, brought along one of his pipes. And I said, have you sold that yet? He said he hadn't. I said, let me show that in my video because it's a cracking piece and you just can't get a hold of pipes like this for anything other than, mortgaging a house sort of thing. This is a really affordable pipe of this style, which is, it's fantastic. I will get to it in a moment. All right. So these are my pipes. They're not available. They were both commissions. Hopefully next week, oh yeah, I don't know if you can hear that. It's been kind of raining and thundering all day today, so who knows what's going to happen. This guy, Sandblasted Strawberry. If you've been watching this week's pipes, you'll know how many of these I've been making. This guy is subtly different from all the others. Nice sort of good medium blast on this fellow. The rings came out really nicely. Blue Cumberland stem in the old half saddle, as I do for my strawberries and acorns. So what's different about him? The difference about this guy is that he takes 6mm filter, which is not something that I very ordinarily do. Some people request strawberries and they say, can I have fitted for 9mm filter? And I'm afraid for those people, I say no. The 9mm filters are just too bulky to fit into the shape without really affecting it. I've done them in the past, I admit, but it's something I've kind of like drawn a line under and I won't do in the future. In that sense, you could say, why don't you just size them up? And that is what I did. But it produces a pipe that I'm not so keen with. This kind of, like, the proportions of this pipe is how I like to do them. Kill me for being so particular, but this is the way that I like them. So the slight redesign that I had to do for the 6mm filter was very subtle. I was thinking of showing you the difference in design. It really is a very subtle shift of the mortise angle, requiring just a slightly longer drilling of the initial pilot hole for the mortise. But affecting the shape, unless you were taking calipers to it, I doubt you would be able to tell the difference between this and a strawberry without a filter in it. So there you go. Strawberry with Blue Cumberland. The Blue Cumberland has been a very popular combination on the strawberry, as you may have been able to tell if you've been looking at the last few weeks of videos. All right, next one. This one was a lot of fun. This has a slight bit of history to it. I've only made one of these before, it was when I did a thematic box. I called it an artifact box for Call of Cthulhu, and in it I did a cultist pipe that I called the Louisiana Cultist, and that was specifically for that box. It like sat in its whole sort of like diorama thing. It was fantastic. That was a joint project with a miniature modeler called Damien Hayes, very good friend. But someone requested, could they have a pipe like the pipe in that box set? And I said yes. Why would I say no? Of course they could. So here it is. As you can see, it kind of follows the lines of the tulip, which is my cutty variation. Forward canted bowl. Lots of painstaking carving on the outside with a bit of a contrast blast. So the very dark brown going through to this sort of like forest moss green. Some nice bit of craggy plateau on top. Rusticated stem. It is a variation on the theme. It is not an exact replica of the one in the box. One, because I don't do exact replicas. And three, inspiration always hits me, and I go with it. So this has a different stem treatment than the one in the box, but there you go. And with this kind of like carved finish, I just love the way that the shank flows into the stem nice seamlessly, if I say so myself. There you go. The Louisiana Cultist. Pop him away. He'll be going off tomorrow. Right. So, last pipe. This is a pipe from Aidan Hesselwood, as I mentioned. If you haven't heard of him, he is what we're calling lockdown pipe maker. He started pipe making at the beginning of the first lockdown as a way of amusing himself. He was a pipe smoker anyway, and he was also. So he has an interesting background. He doesn't come into pipe making cold. Was a woodworker. I don't know for how long, but he had wood making skills before he started pipe making, which kind of explains how he's come so far so fast. He is the only English pipe maker that I know of who most commonly does the shape first method. So shapes, then drills. If you are familiar, I've talked about these methods before, but for making the more complex shapes with the proper aspect to grain, shaping first is, I won't say the only way to do it, but is probably the best way to do it. No doubt there are pipe makers out there who will recut blocks painstakingly in order to get the grain alignment while doing the drill first method, but it's not very common for these kinds of shapes. The shaping first method is the way. All right, what have we got? So this is his sort of like felt pouch that comes with this like I think it's leather, a little bit of leather stamped H pipes, although in my mind I just say Hesselwood pipes. What is it? What have we got? it is a blowfish. Look at this thing. So first of all, it's a blowfish, which is it's a next level shape. There's no doubt about it, because the pipe has to be in orientation with the grain on several faces. So first of all, let's go over the more obvious aspects. So first of all, straight grain running on top through the bottom. Look at that. That's just stunning. And secondly, on the side faces, you're looking for the bird's eye. And my goodness, he's caught the bird's eye. So you have the block. Imagine, so you can see the orientation here. You can see the straight grain like this. So the plateau would have been running along this side. This is towards, the imaginary centre of the burl is somewhere up here. And so then you have the grain facing inwards, and then a smaller face catching the bird's eye here, and on the shank as well. Obviously this is a contrast stain, so I don't know exactly what he used, but obviously a dark brown, perhaps chocolate, or dark brown, maybe cordovan, and possibly a light top stain, although my eye says it's very nearly natural, so he might have just knocked it back to natural. If I'd have thought, I'd have asked him. I didn't think to. There's a lovely piece of plateau on the shank here. The shank itself is like this asymmetric squared piece, and he's echoed the shape of the end of the shank in the flare of the stem, which is super clever, really just nice touch. The other thing is, take a look. The whole pipe moves with the grain like a fish. That's kind of one of the reasons it's called a blowfish. So there's movement through, curves, and then the stem curves, the tail of the fish, then curves back round. So this lovely S-curve movement through the whole pipe. I mean, just the attention to the whole piece. Now, one interesting point, and I said, why have you done that? Now, let me just show you. At the end of the shank, you can see he's reinforced the mortise with brass. Now, that's very common when these shapes are done with taper style tenon, kind of like the army style fitting, but it's not. It is just a straight. It's just a straight tenon, so a standard fit. So I said, why did you reinforce the mortise? Because technically, it doesn't need it. He said, because it looks good. He's not wrong. That little bit of brass detailing there is just like a bit of extra bling on this extraordinary pipe. If you're interested in this pipe, which frankly you were getting at an absolute steal, because Aidan Hesselwood is a young pipe maker. He's literally younger than a lot of pipe makers, and also he's relatively new. He's still in the process of making a name for himself, but he is turning out pieces like this. Imagine what he's going to be doing in a couple of years. Very exciting. So, whoever gets to me first, whoever is fastest on their keyboard, email me and we can discuss that pipe. Very, very cool. We just secure him back in. All right. That is it. for this week's pipes. Hope you enjoyed that. I will be back for the next episode of the Magnus Archives on Monday. So, until then, take it very easy, your loyal pipe maker.